It always begins quietly. Before the sirens, before the courtrooms, before the truth claws its way into daylight. Christopher Mills was 55 years old when his life split cleanly in two. To the outside world, he was steady, dependable, the kind of man people trusted without thinking twice. A former soldier, a charity worker, a husband, a man who believed that loyalty, once earned, did not need constant guarding. He had married Michelle believing they were building something lasting, late-life love forged from shared routines rather than grand gestures, morning tea, familiar jokes, a caravan in Senarth where they escaped when the noise of life grew too loud. There were no dramatic fights, no screaming matches, just distance. The kind of distance that arrives slowly, a phone turned face down, laughter that didn't include him anymore, silences that stretched a little too long. Christopher noticed, but he didn't interrogate it. Because men like Christopher don't expect betrayal from the person sleeping beside them. He believed love was proven by endurance, by staying, and so he stayed. He worked, he volunteered, he planned. He told himself that marriages, especially later in life, settle into quieter forms, that passion gives way to partnership. What he didn't know, what he couldn't know, was that while he was holding the marriage together, Michelle was quietly stepping out of it. And before we go any further, if you're watching this, listening to this, it's because stories like Christopher's matter. They are uncomfortable, they are real, and they happen more often than people admit. So if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, to protect others, to give survivors a voice, take a moment, subscribe, like, share, comment, because silence is how betrayal survives. Christopher's did. For a while, Michelle didn't wake up one morning intending to destroy her marriage. It happened gradually, quietly, in fragments. She met Geraint Barry through charity work, someone familiar, comforting, easy, a man who listened in ways Christopher no longer seemed to, a man who understood her frustrations without challenging them. At first, it was harmless, or at least that's how she justified it. Messages sent late at night, conversations that felt electric because they were forbidden, complaints disguised as confessions. She doesn't see me anymore. He doesn't understand me. Two people feeding each other the same lie. The affair didn't explode, it fermented. Christopher sensed the change. Michelle guarded her phone. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. She grew restless in his presence. One night he asked gently, "Is everything okay with us?" She didn't look up. "Of course," she said, but her voice betrayed her. In the quiet moments alone, Christopher replayed conversations, wondered if he was imagining things, questioned himself more than he questioned her. Because trust doesn't shatter all at once, it erodes. Meanwhile, Michelle's relationship with Barry intensified. Their conversations turned darker, less romantic, more desperate. They spoke about escape, about being trapped, about obstacles, and slowly, horrifyingly, those obstacles began to take shape. Christopher Mills. It starts as a thought you push away, then a joke you don't correct, then a sentence you don't stop. Michelle and Barry talked about life insurance, about how things would be easier if Christopher wasn't around. They spoke in coded language at first, then plainly. Poison, break-ins, staged scenes. It wasn't passion anymore, it was planning. Text messages were exchanged with chilling calm, no hysteria, no panic, just logistics, how it would look, how it would end, how they would be free. Christopher, meanwhile, was living inside a lie carefully curated for him. He trusted the woman who was actively designing his death. This is the moment most people refuse to believe exists. But it does. Because betrayal doesn't always scream. Sometimes it whispers. September 20th, 2024. The caravan was quiet, familiar, safe. Christopher never saw them coming. Masked figures burst into the space. Chaos followed. Blows, pain, confusion. The sharp realization that this wasn't a robbery. This was an execution. Christopher fought back, pure instinct, survival, adrenaline. He screamed, he resisted, he refused to die quietly. The attackers fled, bleeding, shaken, alive. But the truth that followed was far more devastating than the assault itself. Police uncovered the messages, the plans, the connection. Michelle, his wife, the woman he trusted. The betrayal landed like a second attack, one that left no visible bruises, but cut far deeper. Public exposure is a second punishment. The investigation revealed everything: the affair, the conspiracy, the intent. Friends didn't know what to say. Some disappeared entirely. Others stared with pity. Christopher wasn't just a victim, he was a spectacle. He replayed every moment, every sign he ignored, every silence he tolerated. At night, the questions were relentless. How did I miss this? Was I ever loved? Was my life worth so little? The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was existential. But truth doesn't ask permission before it changes you. There is a moment when pain stops being something you endure and becomes something you must confront. Christopher reached that moment alone. He cried in ways he never had before, not loudly, not dramatically, quietly, the kind of crying that empties you. And then something shifted. He chose not to disappear. He chose therapy, structure, healing, responsibility, not as punishment, but as purpose. He began rebuilding a life that had been ripped from him without consent. The courtroom was cold, unforgiving. Michelle and Barry sat facing justice, not fantasy, not escape, reality. The verdict was clear: guilty. Long sentences followed. Christopher listened, not with triumph, but with finality. Justice didn't erase the pain, but it acknowledged it. And that mattered. Christopher Mills survived something designed to erase him. He didn't rebuild by forgetting, but by remembering clearly. The betrayal no longer defines him. The truth does. And in that truth, he found something rare: peace. Not because the story ended well, but because it ended honestly. Some betrayals are meant to destroy you. Others reveal who you really are. Christopher Mills lived. And that was the part they never planned for.